Hey there, I just built an autonomous coding agent that builds apps using only free models. You simply describe to the agent what you want to build, it then plans the features, adds them to a Kanban board, and it starts implementing all of these features on Autopilot. And at the moment, this is actually running using LM Studio, but it also supports Ollama as well. And you can build whatever you want, starting with a very simple to-do app like this retro to-do app. And I really love the effects in this application. And you might even recognize this Claude Code clone from the Autopilot video from last year. But believe it or not, we can now build all of this using free models. And yes, everything works. Let's send a query, and we can see the result is streaming in. Keep in mind, guys, this is all using free models. And about 5 or 6 months ago, we had to use paid frontier models to build something like this. And using this is just so easy. Let's go to this retro to-do app. So we can say add a fun tip of the day somewhere in the app. And I'm just going to create this feature. This gets added to the backlog. And yes, there is an AI-driven feature as well that will automatically take a complex task and break them up into individual features. I'll show you that during this video. Now that we've added this task, all we have to do is run the queue. And this will hand the task over to a coding agent, and the task has moved to the in progress column. We can see exactly what the agent is doing as well by expanding this. And here we get the full output from the agent SDK. This agent is also able to open up the browser and visually test the application end to end. If we open up this card, we can see exactly what happened during this implementation. So we can see all of the agent's output over here, and we even get the screenshot that the agent took while testing this. And also just above the logs, we also get all of the attached screenshots. And here in the screenshot, we can indeed see the tip of the day as it was being tested. Now, the first thing I want to mention is that this is completely open source. You don't have to pay to use this at all. I'll show you how to download it. If you want, feel free to fork it, do whatever you want with this project. This is really something that I want to encourage people to try. And the reason for this is simple. Frontier models are getting really expensive. Even if you're on a Claude Code subscription, you would have noticed that you actually hit your usage limits really quickly these days. Even if you look at models from OpenAI, GPT 5.5 is double the cost of the previous models. These frontier models are getting insanely expensive. Yet on the open source side of things, we're seeing all of these tiny models come out that can run on consumer-grade hardware, and they're really good at calling tools and writing code. These are also multimodal models, which means they do have vision capabilities. That's how the model is able to open up the browser and view the actual results. In fact, while we're on Ollama, let's actually download a model that we can run on our own machine. So I recommend either Qwen 3.6 or Gemma 4, but I do want to be very clear on this. If you are planning to use Gemma 4, you do need to use the 31 billion parameter model. Unfortunately, the 26 billion parameter model and the ones below it are simply not good enough at doing tool calling. I've also tested this model on an RTX 4070 GPU, and it works. Personally, I really like the Qwen 3.6 model, so I'll download the Qwen 3.6 35 billion parameter model. And I will show you how to download this using Ollama and LM Studio. For Ollama, it's really simple. If you do want to run this using Ollama, simply go to ollama.com and install Ollama using this command. Then in order to download the model, simply click on this copy button next to the model name, and in command prompt or terminal, run the command Ollama pull followed by the model name. Now, I do want to mention that I'm not personally going to use Ollama. I find that Ollama seems to try to run these models on the CPU instead of your GPU, which is a bit of a bug at the moment, I assume. So I've had way better results using LM Studio. Of course, you could try both. If you find that Ollama is way too slow, try using LM Studio. Go to lmstudio.ai and simply download and install LM Studio. After opening LM Studio, simply click on this model search button and then search for whatever model you want to use, like Qwen 3.6. Or of course, if you wanted to, you could definitely use Gemma 4 as well. My personal recommendation is Qwen 3.6, the 35 billion parameter model, but I believe you should also have really good results with the 27 billion parameter model as well. Simply click on the model and click on download. Once the model has been downloaded, you should see it in this list over here. What I do recommend is that next to the model, like Qwen 3.6, search for the actions settings, then go to load, and you'll see that this context length is a very small number. It might be something like 4,000 tokens, which is just not enough for running coding models. Coding models tend to load in a lot of context up front, like the system prompt and the definition of all the tools. So you definitely need to increase this context window length. I recommend setting it to an absolute minimum of 64,000 tokens, or if you can, set it to 128,000 tokens. Cool. Then click on this sort of terminal developer window, click on load model, and then load in the model that you just downloaded. Right, now that we've got models running on our own machine, we can finally install LocalForge. Again, this is completely free, so all you have to do is go to this URL, which I'll link to in the description. And while you're here, if you do find this project interesting and you want to support it, simply hit the star button. Then all we have to do is go to code. If you have Git set up on your machine, you can simply copy this command or simply download the zip file. Then there's only one other dependency that you have to install, and that is Node.js. So simply go to nodejs.org and then download and install Node.js for your operating system. Right, then simply extract the contents of that zip file anywhere on your machine, and within that folder you'll see either a start.bat file or start.sh for Linux or Mac. So I'm using Windows, I will run start.bat. The first time you run this, it will take a bit of time because it needs to first install all of these dependencies. And afterwards it will give you this URL, which you can open in your browser. And now we're running LocalForge. The first thing I like to do is to go to settings. So let's click on the settings cog, and now you have to set your provider. I will be using LM Studio, but of course we also support Ollama. Changing your provider will also change this studio URL, so if you are running these tools on different ports, you can simply edit those over here. Then LocalForge will also automatically show any of the models that you've downloaded previously, so I'll select Qwen 3.6 as the default model. Now, to be honest, this is going to be extremely hardware intensive, so I just recommend running one agent at a time. But if you've got the hardware to do so, you can definitely bump it up to 3 coding agents running at the same time. Then for playwright verification, you can enable or disable this. This will simply use the playwright CLI to allow the agent to open the browser and test your application. If you are running playwright testing, I'm actually going to enable this. Then you can decide whether this execution should be headless or headed. Headed means that the agent will actually open in the browser window. Headless means it will run the browser behind the scenes. I'll just go with headed. Let's save these settings. And now we're ready to create our first project. We can actually run multiple workspaces at the same time. So you can easily kick off different agents running on different workspaces in parallel. But first, let's create our first workspace. Let's give it a name, like I'll just go with retro to do. And from here, you can decide on whether you want to create a blank project or describe the project using AI. We can also load in an example project. Let's actually do the example first, and then I'll show you these other features. So when we load the example, it's going to create this project for us and automatically pull in 19 features into the backlog. When we open any of these features, we can see the title, we can see a very detailed description on what this feature needs to do, as well as any acceptance criteria. For each feature, we can also set the priority, and we can also select any dependencies that this feature depends on. We can also set settings at project level. So if we click on this cog, we can change the provider and the model that we want to use for this project specifically. We can also set things like the dev server port that this app should run on. By default, it's port 3000, but if you already have other apps running on the same port, simply swap it out over here, and the agent will know what port to test on. And of course, you can change the testing settings and the amount of concurrent agents at this level as well. And then really all that's left to do is to run the queue. This will spin up our coding agent. This agent will assign the task to this in progress column. And if I just open up LM Studio for a minute, we can see that the Qwen model is now cooking away. Alright, then to stop this model, all we have to do is click on pause, and that's done. If the task was incomplete, it will just simply be moved back to the backlog. Let me show you a few more ways to set up a new project. Let's click on Workspace, and I'll just do something like a Jira clone, and let's start a blank project. When we do that, we don't have any items in the Kanban board. So we can simply click on Add Feature, and then manually add our own features. Now, this is not really a fun way to build this stuff. I do recommend using agents to plan out the app and simply create the features for you. And this is where things get really interesting. Let's do something like a Confluence clone. What we can do now is click on Describe your project to AI. Then let's click on Create and Chat with AI. And this will open up this chat window where we can describe our project. I want to build a Confluence clone. And let's send this. All right, so let's do this. That's a great project idea. Help me understand your vision. Who will be the primary users? So let's actually say this needs to support multiple users with auth. And what should be the core features? You choose the core features. You choose everything else. Let's send this. And on the right, you can see Alum Studio is actually running. Got it? I'll take the lead on the architecture and feature set. We'll start with secure multi-user auth, a rich text page editor. But this really is your opportunity to kind of brainstorm the app with the agent. And if you want, you can even tell it what tech stack to use. So does this direction feel right? Or would you like any adjustments before we lock it in? Sounds good to me. Great to hear. We've got a solid foundation mapped out. Whenever you're ready, just click on Generate Feature List. So that's basically it. We can just click on this button and the agent will automatically use all of this context to set up our feature list. And done. And honestly, that only took a few seconds. And if we have a look at our backlog, I'm just going to collapse the sidebar for a second. We see this complete backlog for initializing the Next.js app, configuring Postgres, implementing Clerk, and whatever else needs to be implemented. Awesome. And remember, we can also manually add features ourselves. So if you feel like the agent missed something, simply click on Add Feature. Now, this takes me to an important caveat. These free models are really impressive, especially when it comes to writing code. But the reality is you need to manage your expectations. As you can see in this feature, it's actually really simple. There's very little context for the agent to work from. And the more detailed these features are, the better the output is going to be. So as a bonus, I added another feature that will use a paid model to plan out these features. So what I actually recommend you do is open this LocalForge project, the actual AutoForge files, in something like Claude Code. Now again, this is optional. You can definitely use the free models to plan the features. I know it feels like it defeats the purpose, but it doesn't. The bulk of the work is still going to sit with the actual coding implementation. We're simply using this paid model to plan the features. In your coding agent of choice, if you have a look at the skills that's available to the agent, I've added this LocalForge skill. So what we can do is actually simply pull in that LocalForge skill or just ask your agent to use the skill. And let's say, let's create a new project called Infinite Draw. This is an infinite canvas style tool like eraser.io. But this will just be a single user and local type of app, so you can use a SQLite database as well. I don't know, let's just do something really simple like this. Alright, now the agent is going to ask us a few clarifying questions. So it's basically mimicking the chat functionality in the app itself, but this time we are using a paid and more intelligent model just for planning. The implementation of the features will still be done by our free models. Alright, got it. So it came up with this feature list. It's about 15 features. Let's just say go ahead. So Claude is now going to use this LocalForge skill to create a new project for us and create all the features. You can also use the same skill to add features to an existing project as well. In fact, if I switch over to LocalForge now, I can see this new Infinite Draw project. Let's just simply expand this, but we don't have any features yet. So let's give Claude a chance to add these. And while we wait for Claude to complete, I just released my Agentic Coding Masterclass. This is where I teach you everything you need to know to build real-world applications using coding agents. We've got a vibrant community of over 700 builders, so if you do get stuck or want to share ideas, you've got a lot of people to lean on, and we've got live Q&A sessions every Wednesday, so you can ask me anything in those sessions. Also, it's only $7 to sign up for the first 1,000 members. I do hope to see you there. Alright, so I can see Claude already added a whole bunch of features, and it's also wiring up all the dependencies. So let's just go back to the Kanban board. Here we can see our 15 features, and if we open these up, you will notice that these are way more detailed than what the free model could come up with. And this will also ensure that this free model knows exactly how to implement this feature. I'm just going to set the port like 3001, then we can click on Run Queue. And that's it. Now you can step away and come back later when this app is complete. What do you think about these open source models? Let me know down in the description if you've got a favorite model. Also, if you found this video useful, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more agentic coding content. We're nearly at 100,000 subscribers, so every subscriber counts. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.